Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and I am continuing my 31 days of horror movie reviews and the Halloween franchise with Halloween H20. This is a film that came out in 1998, 20 years after the original Halloween. It is directed by Steve Miner, the same guy who directed Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3. Very random. And the plot sees the return of Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. And you see that she faked her death so many years ago in an attempt to stay off the radar, to stay away from Michael Myers. And she's now at this boarding school, the headmistress there. She has a son, played by Josh Hartnett, and she's trying to keep him safe, just trying to bury the secret for as long as she can, until inevitably, somehow, some way, Michael Myers finds that she's alive, finds her location, and comes there looking for her and everyone to kill. Now, what I think of Halloween H20 is, I enjoy this movie. I do. I think it's one of the better sequels post Halloween 2. And a lot of it does have to do with the fact that this movie disregards Halloween 4, 5, and 6. They pretend like those movies never happened. And in some ways that sucks, because I did like Halloween 4 and I think 6 has some decent things in it. But I almost wish that they could have found a way to maybe, instead of a son, have a daughter named Jamie, and even bring Daniel Harris back. Like, he could have done that, but maybe it's just because of all the cult stuff, because of all the Thorn stuff, because of how horrible Halloween 5 was. I don't blame them for just saying, look, let's just start fresh. Let's just go in a brand new direction. It makes sense. And in fact, I believe there's a deleted scene of this movie where Jamie Lee Curtis, as a teacher, overhears one of the students talking about this girl, Jamie, being killed by Michael Myers or her uncle, and she hears this and runs and starts to cry about it, almost acknowledging that maybe that was her daughter and that there is some history there. But they took it out because they wanted to avoid confusion over it. Also, this movie in general was Jamie Lee Curtis' idea. I was watching the behind the scenes stuff right after rewatching the movie, and she's talking about how she just sort of stopped and realized that it was coming up 20 years after her very first movie, Halloween. And she thought it would be cool to do some reunion type movie, some big almost event. And she went to the writers, she went to the studio, and she said, let's do this. Let's make it happen. That's awesome. That's awesome that Jamie Lee Curtis not only thinks so fondly of her early days, her early years in Hollywood with Halloween, but she wanted to come back and make this happen. And the plot makes sense. The fact that she would have faked her death, changed her name. She's living in California now, so this is like the first Halloween movie to not take place in Haddonfield. And she's trying to start new, but she's having nightmares. She's constantly seeing hallucinations of Michael following her around, and so that works a lot, where the scene where he does really show up and she's trying to like make herself not see him, he's still coming at her because he's real this time. I like her character, like what she's going through. She has a son, like I said, Josh Hartnett. This is his very first movie, and for his first movie, he's really good here. He went on to be an even better actor, but I think here he's just he's a 17-year-old kid, and he's trying to live his life. He's trying to have fun. He has this girlfriend. He has friends that he just wants to be able to do stuff with. And she is very controlling. She is very stifling. And you understand both sides. He's thinking there's no way after 20 years Michael's coming back. And she's like, you never know. Ultimately, she's right. Josh Hartnett's girlfriend is played by Michelle Williams, which always surprises me, because when you see her career now, where you see the type of movies Michelle Williams has done since this movie, like, she's never really done a commercial movie after this. She's always gone for the deeper movies, and she's grown. She's become one of the better actresses of today. So to see her in her early years in a slasher horror movie, it's sort of funny, but I do think she's good. I should mention that LL Cool J is also here, And his character, like, he's actually good in the movie. His character is that he likes to write these erotic novels of sorts. He's on the phone with his girlfriend talking about them. He somehow misses Michael sneaking in to the place. But he's one of those characters so you're like, okay, it's a Halloween movie, it's a horror movie in the 90s, and he's a black guy. What do you think is going to happen to him? But actually, they swerve that, they surprise that. I think it's bullshit because when you see a scene where it does look like he dies, I swear he was supposed to die. And I think they reshot it to where he showed back up at the end because they realized we can't kill the one black guy in the movie. Can we? And also, Jamie Lee Curtis is dating another teacher who I swear looks like George Clooney, but not really. I don't know. The actor's fine. I like even the scene where she reveals to him and tells him. It's a big moment for her to reveal her true story, her true name, her backstory, and his reaction to it. It's great. Let's talk about Michael Myers, because Michael Myers, I think, is back to being scary here. We've done away with the cult. We've done away with the thorn and all of that crap for why he would have become this. We're back to just him being this crazy dude who up and one day killed his sister and his family and killed a bunch of people. So now he's back and he's coming for his sister. I think for the most part he works. The only real complaint I would have about Michael is the mask. Once again, there are certain shots in certain scenes where the mask looks great. It does. But when you see the behind the scenes stuff, you see that they had to alternate between 3 different masks because one got lost, one got destroyed. So they constantly had to, and quickly, because of schedule, quickly had to make new masks or just have something for him to wear. And so certain other masks, certain other scenes look terrible. The mask looks terrible. It looks cartoony. One shot, I swear, it's like a computer-generated mask. It's like, I don't know. They must have been desperate. Some of that's not their fault. I just wish that if they did have one concise, good mask throughout the whole thing, it would have been probably perfect. Would have been great. Dr. Loomis, obviously, Donald Pleasance is dead by this point, so that sucks to not have him there, but I do like that the reference. I do like his presence being there, the voiceover at the beginning, or seeing his pictures in the newspaper articles. Hell, the beginning of the movie where Michael goes after that nurse. The same actress who played the nurse in the first 2 Halloween movies comes back here so many years later. I guess that's your one part of Haddonfield, the Mr. Sandman song playing, and he goes after her and he successfully kills her. And that's one of those like, wow, that's attention to detail to bring back an actress that was in those older movies. It was cool to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt in that one part where he's being a goofy teenager but still likable. There is a lot of jump scares. And honestly, if I was rewatching this by myself, I would have said too much jump scares, or they try too hard with it, with the score and the loud music. But I'm showing my girlfriend all of these Halloween movies for the first time, and her reaction to these jump scares were hilarious. I do think that, yeah, maybe for me, some of the jump scares are overbearing and too much, but for certain people, it's going to work. It's going to get you each and every single time. So I guess I can't complain too hard about that. Some of the death scenes work as well. They're a lot more vicious, a lot more violent. Certain scenes where you're like, oh, I wasn't even expecting to see that much blood and that much gore. And this ending is great. I love the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis, she has a chance to take her son and everyone out, and she tells them to go. She stops and she has that moment where she says, I have to stay and fight. I'm not going to run anymore. I'm not going to do this. And I'm just going to end this. And I love that. I love the confrontation head on between her and Michael. And the ending is shocking, because it's one of those things where you're like, you want to see Laurie be strong. This is really her first time being this strong. The part where she takes it upon herself to take the body in the ambulance and drive off and say, F that, I'm not accepting this. I am going to make sure this dude is dead once and for all. And she cuts his head off with an axe. Holy hell, it was awesome. It's one of those endings where you're shocked, you're left almost like, did that just happen? And then it ends. It's so great. If this was the last Halloween movie, then this would have been the perfect way to end it. Of course, it made so much money, they had to keep going, and we will get to that later. But this movie on its own, I think it's great. I think it's suspenseful. I think it's a good story to go from. Jamie Lee Curtis being back is a plus. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Halloween H2O. Do you like it as well? Are you upset that it disregards the earlier sequels? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!